going on, bro?
And she thought, well, maybe I am here and I'm not used to drinking, and maybe that's what caused it. But over the next few days, she didn't feel any better.
I was so sick. I'd been on the couch and I'd been for like probably been 55 minutes. Just miserable.
The clues are staring everyone in the face, but the truth will be a long time coming.
How did this happen? What caused this? There were a lot of questions.
As the rest of the news struggle to make the pain go away, Marie is just getting started.
Stop!
STEM and career technical education. Those opportunities would put them far ahead of all other students in our state and region. Well, this isn't just a dream. In fact, you can make it happen. On Election Day, vote for the Renaissance Academy.
Or you can switch to 125.
Okay, you're good to go?
Switch now to our best deal ever. Pay just $24.99 per month. Plus get free premium Wi-Fi and free expert installation.
Isn't it weird you work so hard at acting? It's the biggest thing you've done. That's frustrating. It's frustrating for me.
What's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
You'll be an alcoholic, you'll get caught. The white belt going into black belt conspiracies, and you got it.
I'll do anything for numbers, as you know.
You're pregnant.
What?
I'm embarrassed by my body.
If we were to let our guard down, William would eat himself to death. Literally.
I seriously can't keep this a secret much longer. This is my last chance to get help.
4 years after the untimely death of Anniston, Alabama local Fred Philly, his daughter Carol is fighting a similar unexplained illness.
Carol had a spunky personality, and in relationship to her mother, it became sometimes contentious. But now that she got sick, Carol didn't have the energy to fight with her mother.
In fact, the 19-year-old needs her mama more than ever.
By now, I can't really walk on my feet without assistance, and everything was like looking through a big magnifying glass or something. I couldn't see anything.
Marie made a point of taking special care of her. She even spoon-fed her at times. When Carol felt weak, Marie would say, "Oh, you've got to keep your strength up."
Visit after visit, doctors can't explain what's wrong with Carol. Until one day they come up with a diagnosis, albeit a shocking one. They're convinced Carol is anorexic and her symptoms are psychosomatic.
She ate, and she was, and it didn't make sense to her.
By the time they saw me, I probably looked horrible because I went down to 81 pounds. I mean, there wasn't much left. They think it's in my head. They're not understanding that, you know, my feet don't work, okay? I'm not faking that.
Before Carol knows it, she's being moved to a psychiatric hospital in Birmingham for evaluation.
My mom was telling them that I had not been having sex with my friends, which was not true, and that I was angry to the point of pulling my own hair out, which was not true. I wanted out so bad I would have sold my soul to get out.
And if things aren't bad enough, Carol and Michael get word that cancer got the best of their grandma Lucille.
How do I deal with the fact my grandmother's dead? And to make sure Carol's okay. There's just so much going on.
Meanwhile, Marie is being dragged to her own personal hell.
One day, my mom didn't show up for me like she normally did. And I asked the nurse, I said, where's my mother? She said,
This all caught up to her.
Marie manages to get out on bail, but the ordeal has folks looking at her in a whole new light, starting with her son Michael.
What the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on? Don't you snatch me in my house.
I just aggressively quizzed her about what was going on with creditors, with Carol being sick, with everything else. And she got hostile. She got hostile.
Yeah, Michael. And don't you ever talk to me like that again.
And when Michael gets an unusual phone call from his Aunt Frida, he's certain his mom is up to no good. What she tells him is beyond comprehension.
My aunt told me that when she talked to Frank one afternoon before he went in the hospital, that he told her that my mother had been giving him injections and needed to learn how to do it. And I'm thinking that would have been something that would have been helpful to know 4 or 5 years ago.
Frida says she was afraid to say anything before, but when she sees something odd in her niece Carol's hospital room, she knows she has to speak up.
She said, I was visiting here and I saw your mom giving Carol an injection. I asked her what she was doing. She said she was helping the nurses. The nurses were busy and they had shown her how to do this.
With that call, Michael is sure the clock is ticking for Carol.
I called Carol to. I don't think she had a phone in her room. She had to walk down the hall into a desk or something.
and he said, do you swear? And I said, no. And he goes, is she standing right there? I said, yep.
And I said,
This is so deep.
And so I did call her back and confirm that she had given her injections.
And Michael's personal investigation isn't done just yet.
I immediately called the hospital and I said, look, this is a matter of life and death. I'm not trying to cause a problem, but I said, you need to check Carol for poisoning.
That afternoon, when Carol wakens from a nap, doctors are hovering all around her.
They were looking at me all over and said, what about your hands? I said, my hands are kind of messed up from here. And he looked at my hands and he goes, how long has that been there? I said, what? He goes, that. And I said, been there for a long time.
This doctor looked at her fingernails, and there, quite clearly now, on each fingernail, was a white line. Those white lines were created by deposits of a heavy metal.
Doctors order additional tests that return with a startling diagnosis.
The doctor reported that she seemed to have been poisoned by arsenic. Could have come from anywhere. Arsenic is in things that were used then in households and in farms.
As the family works with police to try to build a case, Marie finds herself back in jail on more kidnapping charges. But while Marie sits in jail, Aunt Frida makes a startling discovery at her home where Marie has been staying. All of which test positive for arsenic.
Without a doubt, your mother. The mystery of assault and Carol's money. The thing she had to come to deal with it. Very difficult thing to do.
They say there's nothing sweeter than a mother's love, unless Alicia Marie Booth, and the disappointment of a daughter is worth more to you dead than alive.
Did she do this because she was evil? Did she do it because of her
With the attempted murder of her daughter. Immediately, Harold begins to recover. The story hits the papers. Folks in Anniston are outraged.
There was a lot of resentment expressed. I felt like, oh, she's certainly given our community a bad name, and she certainly hurt a lot of people.
Poison her own flesh and blood.
Marie never admits to doing any harm to Carol or Frank. She is very adamant in that everything that she did to Carol was for Carol, to make Carol better.
Marie's bail is set at $14,000, remarkably low considering the seriousness of the charges. Her lawyer took her over to Birmingham to keep her there, away from here. He wanted to keep her head out until the trial. 1 week after Marie is released, friends head to the motel for a visit, and Marie is nowhere to be found.
All his clothing is there, and all the personal effects. But the contents of Marie's purse is dumped on the bed, and the only thing missing is identification.
When police arrive, they find a troubling note scrawled on some motel stationery.
It said, "You led us straight to her." And her attorney, discovering this, is convinced she'd been kidnapped.
No one else believes it for a second. Marie is gearing up for Chapter 2. And that means the Hilly Saga is about to get stranger still.
This place is perfect, but I really need a better credit score.
Pardon me, my pal. It's not looking too good. You kind of need good credit to
Ugh, this will take forever.
some check logs to look your dough.
I could improve my low score by 21 points? Huh. In maybe just 4 days? Nice.
Everything you need to outsmart the system. Intuit Credit Karma. Think of a future here in Monongalia County where students of Clay Battelle University and Morgantown High would have access to world-class, hands-on STEM and career technical education. Those opportunities would put them far ahead of all other students in our state and region. Well, this isn't just a dream. In fact, you can make it happen. On Election Day, vote for the Renaissance Academy.
100% right. You could do this. Or you could switch to Frontier Fiber.
You're good to go? Switch now to what?
Every vehicle has a story. Every builder has a journey. You know, we took this car down to nothing and we learned so much about it.
suspect slips through their fingers. Marie Hilly skips bail and is on the run, leaving only the faintest of trails.
Figured I wouldn't ever see her again, because they're not gonna find her. You know, she's gone.
On January 11, 1980, Marie is indicted in absentia for Frank's murder. Although police and the FBI launch a massive manhunt, they fail to pick up the scent.
Marie had the capability to blend into any community, to be whomever she wanted to be.
Little do investigators know, has already started a new and very different life, more than 700 miles away. On a cool February night, after 6 years of marriage, newly divorced John Homan is nursing a broken heart.
John was quiet, easygoing, gullible, lonely, and somewhat successful. He had a boat building business, and he had sold that.
His family is from New York. He's moved to Florida, and he's made a life for himself there. But still, he simply felt alone.
And as the 33-year-old's about to discover, a cold, frothy drink is no match for a warm, sexy Southern lady. The woman introduces herself as Robbie Henry, a 35-year-old who recently moved to New York to start a marriage. Like John, Robbie's having sure of heart.
She told me that she'd been married at a young age to a wealthy individual from Texas and had 2 children. The subject of the 2 children she had been married because he met the right person.
The story tugs at John's heartstrings, and he finds the attention of the pretty woman with the southern drawl very soothing.
They start to feel they have a lot in common. He's starting to get quite interested in her. And over time, they get closer and closer.
In the blink of an eye, it seems, the two become inseparable.
John had a brother who lived in New Hampshire, and John suggested that they think about moving there. They went, they liked the place, and they moved to a little town of Marlow, New Hampshire.
Robbie lands a job as a secretary at a local manufacturing company. Although she feels like a fish out of water in New England, her southern charm quickly makes her a big hit.
She had social graces. She could meet and talk with people. She had stories to tell that intrigued people.
Robbie fit in very nicely. She had a few friends, but she spent most of her time at home with John. And life seemed to be quite ordinary.
A year later, in May of 1981, John and Robbie tie the knot. Sadly, no one from Robbie's family can attend, not even her identical twin sister Terry, who Robbie says lives in Texas. Still, from all outward appearances, the couple seems to have found a happily ever after.
Really got along well, and she's quite pleased to marry.
In time, something's bound to rock that boat. The swirl about the town's most famous fugitive. Some believe she's gone all the way to California. Others think she's been hiding somewhere in the middle of town all this time.
People in Anniston had an idea about Marie as being extremely clever, almost superhuman. And a lot of people said they'll never find her. She's too clever for them. Others who just thought they'd better catch her and bring her back. She has things to answer for.
It's been nearly 2 years since Marie's daughter her illness. Although she's mostly recovered, it's been hard to move on with her life.
People hated me. They hated me. They go and try to cash a check and stuff. We're not cashing your checks. I didn't know I was over nothing responsible for what my mom had done.
Despite it all, the bond between mother and daughter is not so easily severed.
I didn't know where she was, and I worried about her.
Meanwhile, back in New Hampshire, Robbie Holman's not her usual bubbly self, looking rather frail and complaining of severe headaches. One day in the summer of 1982, she has terrible news for her husband, John.
She comes home one day and she tells John that she's been to the doctor and he says there's nothing wrong with her blood. Something about too many red cells and that it's serious.
She's very old now, so she's gonna need to go to Dallas. That's the only place she can have a baby. Of course, John wants to go with her. And she says, no, I really don't want you to do that. I want to go by myself.
Terry's gonna look out for me.
Robbie assures him she's in good hands. Her twin sister Terry will be there to welcome her with open arms.
She says, give me a chance to bond with her and see her. But of course, John says, okay. So she leaves.
Over the next 2 months, John receives periodic updates on Robbie's health, until one day in November, when he gets an unexpected call.
Robbie's condition began deteriorating. And one day, John gets a call from Terry and she says, it's over, John. Robbie died.
Robbie has requested that she doesn't want any notoriety. Doesn't want
But it isn't the last John Holman will see of his wife. It seems someone's not done with him yet. Before this tale is through, it'll wind itself back from small-town New Hampshire to Sweet Home, Alabama, where the many faces of Marie Hilly are revealed at last in a bizarre final chapter.
It seems to be a door into a lot of bad things. The whole town will turn up with.
You have got to be kidding me. I mean, the story before was enough.
You are not the mother to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, but number one prescribed Entyvio is. It's the most prescribed biologic for Crohn's and disease. In clinical trials, Entyvio helps 9 people achieve long-term relief and remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. Although unlikely, the risk of kidney or large serious potentially fatal bone infection cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems do occur. Ask your healthcare provider about
T-Mobile savings, take one. Guys, Cobras,
When your internet isn't 100% fast, realize how much pain you could do that. Or you could do something about it, like getting the deal of a lifetime on Frontier 5G. Good to go? It's 100% fiber internet, powered by the speed of light. Switch now to the best deal ever. Pay just $24.99 per month, plus the free premium Wi-Fi for installation. Yeah, maybe that is the beginning. That's frustrating, especially for me.
What's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
If you're an alcoholic, you get caught. The white belt going against a black belt in conspiracies, and you got an
I'll do anything for numbers, as you know.
Surgeon approved me for skin removal surgery.
He is 8'1", the world's tallest man.
I didn't know that you're pregnant. What? If you were to let our guard down, we're gonna beat himself to death. Literally. seriously can't keep this a secret much longer.
I'm embarrassed by my body.
Charlotte has a genetic condition called primordial dwarfism.
This is my last chance to get help.
Terrible. This is our one last chance. But before we get to
Most shocking revelation to open the door and see the image of your deceased wife standing in front of you.
the woman needs no introduction. John recognizes her as Terry Martin, Robbie's twin sister from Texas.
And she looks a lot like her sister, but she's thin by comparison. She has bright, dyed blonde hair, and she moves in with John.
What a comfort to help the grieving widower through this trying time. After catching up over coffee, the two file an obituary for Robbie in the paper. The following day, Terry decides she wants to meet some of Robbie's beloved co-workers, though some of the employees aren't sure what to make of her twin.
Most of the people there took her story at face value. One or two were a little suspicious.
They're just in amazement that a twin can act so much and be so much like their sister. There's a core group in that. We don't care what we have to say. You're Robbie Ann.
Certain that Terry is in fact Robbie, a few of her colleagues decide to do some digging of their own, starting with her obituary. In a matter of days, they find some troubling discrepancies.
The obituary lays out the basic if they go to the boss and say, you gotta find out about this.
The obituary said the Sacred Hearts Catholic Church. One of the women knew somebody in that particular area and couldn't recall that. So she did some research. And that's where she got very suspicious.
None of it checks. Can't verify any portion of it. So the boss calls the police.
Officers are also unable to verify any of the information in the obituary, so they pay a visit to Terry, who by now has found a new job in the area.
An FBI agent and policeman went to the book factory where Terry was working. They said, we have reason to believe you are not who you say you are. In that moment, she seemed to deflate, as if they had let the air out of a balloon. She said, okay, you're right.
And she says, I'm wanted for check fraud out of Alabama. So they put the name Marie Hilly into the machine and they realize they've got Marie Hilly, badly wanted fugitive, wanted for murder.
It's the news police in Alabama have been waiting for since Marie disappeared nearly 3 years ago.
The special agent calls me, and I'm sitting in my office in Anniston, and the phone rings, and I answer it, and he says, Wayne, I think I got Marie Hilly. And I about fell out of my chair.
On January 19th, 1980. Daughter Carol.
I wasn't angry at the time. I probably should have been. It would have made my life a little easier, but I couldn't make myself hate her. I couldn't make myself be angry about it.
As the gavel falls in the spring of 1983, all of Anniston is abuzz.
It was a huge, huge sensation in the town, in a quiet city, Anniston, where there wasn't a great deal of serious crime. Marie was one of a kind.
With little room to maneuver, the defense quickly breezes past Franklin's death. One goal, patient who was capable of harming anything, including herself.
The DA said, Carol, don't acknowledge it, just done it. And I was very angry at the time because of the things that were said about me.
In June of 1983, on trial, Marie Hilly is convicted and sentenced to life in prison for her husband Frank's murder. She gets an additional 20 years for attempting to kill her daughter Carol.
Where's the journey?
I was relieved. This brings me a bit closer. The fact that she's not going to be in jail. I know what she said.
I was going to say that she didn't do it, and I knew better because there was no one else around me but her. I don't feel hatred, I don't feel...
After all, she never tried to murder him, and he had nothing but good feelings for her. And he moved to Alabama from New Hampshire.
Behind prison walls, Marie is on her best behavior, and amazingly, it earns her some time on the outside.
People that are confined over a long period of time may be given a weekend pass. But that's the people who are notorious murderers. You've got to remember, Marie Hilly's not the normal person.
It's just unbelievable that they would let her go out that door like that.
Typically, Marie spends her time away with John in a nearby motel. But on the afternoon of February 22nd, 1987, she fails to return.
She was seated around the table. And she told John, I want to visit my mother's gravesite. I don't want to go alone.
John agrees. But when he returns to the motel later that night, there's no sign of Marie.
She left him a note. The note said, John, I hope you'll be able to forgive me. Please give me an hour to get out of town.
I get a call from home, believe it. She's gone again. And I said, really? I wonder what it's going to be like this time. There's an all-out search for Marie, block by block. They can't find her. And it's wet and cold and miserable.
4 days later, on February 26th, police respond to a frantic call from a woman in Green Mountain, Alabama, Marie's hometown.
Here comes this woman crawling in the porch of the house and scratching on the door like a dog, bleeding, bruised, clothing torn. She couldn't stand, she was so weak. She could barely speak.
It's Marie Hill. And as she's taken to the hospital for treatment for hypothermia, she dies of heart failure.
It's ironic that Marie died this way. Marie was always responsible for everything she did. She made all the plans. And something went desperately wrong with this last plan of her life. It cost her.
In the end, Marie leaves her family and folks throughout this rugged region of Alabama with more questions than answers. Some say people should
This is my mother. You know, I feel bad for her. She had far too many demons. And I don't think she had the capacity or the willingness to fight overcome.
what they say about a night at a good old-fashioned southern bar. Go in strangers, come out friends. Or, if you're lucky, you walk away with something even more.
When I met him, maybe six. What do you think you say?
But opening up heart to a stranger can leave a girl mighty vulnerable.
I know that there are bad people out there, and they're looking for their next victim.
This is the story of a smooth.
These females kept falling for him.
And a spree of brutal killing that sends an evil chill across Dixie.
It was a very violent death that she suffered. Very violent. We need to get him off the street.
I was just praying that they got to him before he killed another girl.
This brand of beer is only found on open roads. Back by Dairyland Motorcycles. Together, travels become traditions, and bonds forge over miles. It's a shared passion and a commitment to meet every rider with custom options and a lasting value. Helping you make your mark long after the day has made its mark on you. Dairyland, come as you are motorcycle insurance. Get your quote today.
The moment I loved our Subaru Outback most was the moment they walked away from me. And that's why our family will only love Subaru.
Subaru. More IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than any other brand. Love. It's what makes Subaru.
New hands-free Skechers slippers. If those slippers have an invisible built-in keyboard, will slide in place. Comfy and secure. Mind blown.
Jackson, Mississippi isn't one of the most glamorous spots in the South, but yet it's in hospitality. It's a great little town to their family. Everywhere I go, I meet somebody that I know it's been soft.
Everybody likes to have fun. Everybody's fun.
Down here, the Southern Belle is as spicy as they are.
If she was told not to do it, she was going to do it. We went in the wrong side and somebody got wrong because she makes it that right. She loved everybody. She didn't see bad in people. It was always the good in people.
The Hollywood redhead dreams of meeting the perfect man and falling in love.
She had a lot of bumps in the road with years and with me. She would think she was good and then turn bad, really bad. It was hard for her.
She was hungry and to a lot of her about falling in love with somebody and getting married.
On a cute home bar in excuse for Linda to pick up her good time.
The first night, opening night, we all went to the fair. My mom, of course, she was happy as always. They had this place there where they played country music, and they danced, and Linda liked to dance.
And no sooner does Linda settle in before she lays eyes on the most handsome man she's ever seen.
He was maybe 5'11", 200-some pounds, long blonde hair.
Who just flew into town from Kentucky. Almost immediately, he captures Linda's heart.
It seemed like he was treating her like a queen. She seemed really, really happy.
The two are inseparable for the rest of the night. And if anyone deserves to have a little fun, it's Linda.
She never wasted that night. She called his mother, who's just so good looking, he was out and just bubbly and happy.
Without Mama's approval. So that day, the two head over to Carolyn's for Sunday supper.
I was hopeful for her that maybe she could do it, but again, Lord, please don't let me another bad apple.
Given Linda's unfortunate track record with troubled men, everyone prays this Prince Charming doesn't turn into a poisonous toad. But today, they're in for a pleasant surprise.
He just had that charisma about him, he just knew what to say. He was well maintained, well dressed. He treated her with a lot of respect from the get-go.
She said, well, you know, I think I met the right one. I think he's going to be the one for me. But I really care for him.
Glenn is peacefully down roots, right here in
She said, well, we'll get an apartment. He filled out the rental application. She filled out a separate rental application and signed her name, Glenda Price Rogers. She has already used it.
Glenn and Linda's new apartment is just a stone's throw away from them. A few days later, in true Southern fashion, Crystal swings by with a housewarming present.
He had went and bought brand new furniture for the living room, and they were decorating and set up. She was showing me the room that she had set up for when I would come to spend the night, and I looked in the closet and there was a black box, kind of like ammo box, but it was a lot bigger.
When Crystal reaches for the box, Linda's good mood suddenly turns dark.
I said, well, what's in it? But I don't know. He, told me just leave it alone. That's kind of weird. What could he be hiding in a box that size? It was like an awkward feeling. She was never secretive.
In the days that follow, all seems well for the couple, and the news about the day that they'll live happily ever after in the hills of Kentucky. But 3 short weeks after meeting the man of her dreams, Linda's storybook romance starts fraying around the edges. On October 30th, Linda and Glenn head out for the night with Linda's sister Marilyn and her husband.
Glenn was in a good mood at the time.
Glenn generously throws money around, whether folks
No,
are
bro.
or not.
People were afraid to say
Wagon in the road?
They couldn't keep up with it. And he usually pays the things that come down.
When people can no longer match Glenn drink for drink, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy.
They told him we were going to buy home, and he didn't let us. So, me and Linda got up and went to the restaurant.
Linda begins to confide in her sister. Until a violent outburst stops the conversation dead in its tracks.
He was banging on the bathroom door. You better not tell her nothing. You better not tell her nothing. And I said, Linda, what is she talking about? She said, I can't tell you. She said, I'm sure what was going on. She said, they were going to make them out. I said, I was afraid of Linda, go home with me. She said, something happened, so I'm going to let him get by with it.
Behavior continues to spiral downhill.
He just got so angry. He was like a totally different person. He was like in a rage.
He went through from this very polite gentleman to out control monster.
Each minute grows more tense.
He kept staring at her, looking at her crazy, and he said, don't you say a word. And he looked at me and he said, you'll be the next one. And I said, Linda, he got me in mind. She said, I'm going to it's something else.
The next day, Marion waits to hear from her sister. But the phone never rings. She asks Mama to meet her at Linda's apartment.
Banging on the door and looked in the window. And I knew something looked wrong because Linda was with a clean person. And the beer can was still sitting alcohol.
I had this feeling, I don't know, something just went through me.
The following day is Halloween. And though bewildered by Linda's mysterious disappearance, the family goes trick-or-treating together as they always do. They make their way over to Glenn and Linda's, only to find that their apartment is quiet, and Glenn's truck is now gone.
It was odd because knowing that we were coming, she would not have went anywhere. I was pretty worried that I couldn't pinpoint what was going on.
Surely there's a logical explanation for Linda's absence, but deep down, her family knows something is very wrong.
In my spirit, I just felt like, oh, my Linda, it's just a bad feeling.
All day, nothing from her, no phone calls, no nothing. Just something was not adding up.
Brand of freedom is only found on open roads. That's by Dairyland Motorcycle Insurance. Together, travels become traditions, and bonds forge over miles. It's a shared passion and a commitment to meet every rider with custom options and a lasting value, helping you make your mark long after the journey has made its mark on you. Dairyland covers you on motorcycle insurance. Get your quote today.
When your internet isn't 100% fiber, and you realize how much you're paying for it, you could do this. Or you could do something about it, like getting the deal of a lifetime on Frontier Fiber.
Okay, we're good to go?
It's 100% fiber internet, powered by the speed of light. Switch now to a best deal at $24.99. Plus, get free premium Wi-Fi and free expert installation.
The surgeon approved me for skin removal surgery.
He is 8'1", the world's tallest man.
I didn't know that I was pregnant.
You're pregnant.
What? If we were to let our guard down, William would eat himself to death. Literally. I seriously can't keep this a secret much longer.
I'm embarrassed by my body.
Charlotte has a genetic condition called primordial dwarfism.
This is my last chance to get help.
Carolyn Wingate feels it deep in her bones, like only a mother can. Something's wrong with her daughter, Linda Price. Normally the two catch up every day, but for the last 2 days, the phone in Glenn and Linda's apartment just rings and rings.
I just felt like something had happened to her. And I said, I've got a bad feeling about this. She contacted the manager at the apartment. And she said that she had saw my mom, which was on a Wednesday. She was doing laundry. The police didn't want to do anything because it hadn't been the allotted amount of time to file a report.
Little do the Wingates know, the next chapter of this mystery is already playing out elsewhere in the South, about 3 hours away. Just across the river from Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana, is a town that knows how to have a good time.
Those are like old bedroom community features. Everybody knew everybody that night. It was an extreme party town.
In the center of it all is the It'll Do Lounge, one of the most popular spots to unwind. On November 3rd, 1995, 37-year-old Andy Sutton is there catching up with her best friend and roommate.
Andy reminded me of Lucille Ball. She had that red hair and she just was a kind of a comedian and just everybody knew Andy. She kind of taught me how to live, not worry about tomorrow, but live today.
To help pay the bills, Teresa and Andy bartend and waitress at saloons nearby. They also share a one-bedroom apartment. Women are recently divorced. Andy wouldn't mind meeting someone new. Trouble is, nobody's even remotely managed to set her heart aflutter for ages. Until now.
This person walked past us to the payphone and she said, I like that. I looked over and I thought, oh, okay, and I didn't think nothing else about it.
The man with mesmerizing eyes catches Andy's attention. He seems like the type worth meeting.
The tight jeans, the tight t-shirt, the blue eyes, and the howdy mans, and the southern hospitality, and so polite. He was the charmer, but he was the total package.
And then we finished our beers. I had to go to work. She wanted to stay. So she stayed. She had no fear of people, you know. Everybody was somebody and she was worth her time.
And wouldn't you know, this man is as drawn to the pretty women as she is to him. He introduces himself as Glenn Ryan. Now you can be sure that any gal as cute as Andy has encountered her fair share of players. But something's different about this man. She doesn't want the night to end.
And we were just chit-chatting away and asking questions and he was very understanding and, you know, just very nice. I just slept in the bedroom and I slept on the couch.
The next morning, while Glenn's still asleep, Andy confides in Teresa that she's head over heels about this new guy, who happens to need a ride to the bus station.
It was like a kid jumping for joy. She wanted to know if it would be okay if he left his truck at the apartment until he come back. He's going to be back next week. And could I take him to the bus station? So I was like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine, you know.
He told Andy Sutton, I have to go to Florida to take care of some business. He said he was a truck driver and that his truck had broken.
I got a funny feeling about Glenn when we dropped him off. He goes to the passenger side where Andy's at. And I think he kind of looks at me real serious and just like demanding, like, take care of her. I was going like, I will, dude. You know, like, what was that about? What was the look that he gave me? It was like he was piercing through my soul or something. It was like a threat.
Back in Jackson, Mississippi, an agonizing 3 days have passed, and still no word from Linda or Glenn. Crystal and the rest of the family are beside themselves with worry.
She called me and I said, my daughter would have already called me. I talked to her every day. If she was out of town, she would have called me. Basically, the lady said, well, you'll have them to come and go in the apartment. Why she was not answering the door. This man opened the door for the car. He went in.
When he entered the apartment, the police immediately noticed, things out of the ordinary. It was a lot of beer cans. There was stuff strewn on the floor. There was blood on the floor, bloody paper towel. He knew something was up.
The officer searches room by room. Inside is a horrifying scene.
The body was discovered in the bathtub, her face covered with a washcloth. There was blood on her.
She was kneeling on her back. With stab wounds to the chest and her throat being cut. It appeared the body had been washed once it had been placed in the bathtub. Typical homicide. I knew there was something bad.
And there's one moment
We saw written on the mirror with red lipstick the words, Glenn, we found you. That was our story.
robbery gone wrong, or with a handsome stranger who ruined the town just a few weeks ago. Answers will not be forthcoming because Glenn Rogers has vanished into thin air.
What had Andy left in such a way? It's crazy.
I worked with a lot of homicides and was responsible for
These doctors sitting up there having a
Or you could do something about it, like getting the deal of a lifetime on Frontier Bike Ride. Good to go. Switch now to our best deal ever. Ages 24.99 per month.
Every vehicle has a story, and every builder has a journey. We took this car down to nothing, and you learn so much about it. A hot rod is never truly completely done. Where passion and power unite under one to build or create something that you're proud of. Where
weeks after Linda Price falls for a handsome stranger at the Mississippi State Fair, her lifeless body is found in her bathtub with multiple stab wounds. It's one of the most violent crimes Jackson has ever seen.
You could tell by the disarray of the apartment. You could tell a struggle had taken place. It was a very, very violent death that she suffered. Very violent.
For the Wingate family, the confirmation of their darkest fear is almost too much to bear.
He was white as a ghost, and he grabbed my grandmother and he said, "Mama found her, and it's not good."
Oh, stop!
I just wanted to take off running, and I just said, "Well, I can." I knew that my baby was gone. It was people running, screaming, crying. It was one of the worst feelings for me.
Police aren't buying it. Glenn Rogers is clearly a person of interest.
I thought that he was trying to make out like somebody else was involved and had committed the murder, like somebody might have been looking to get him and had done it. I ran his name and social security number, and when I did, he popped up on the National Crime Information Center. You know, we knew Glenn Rogers was responsible. It was just a matter of collecting all the evidence that we needed to find him.
Glenn Rogers isn't the long-haul trucker out of Kentucky. He's a drifter, a carny, an occasional cab driver from Ohio.
I don't have your charger.
Law dates all the way back to when he was just 9 years old.
Can this game please stop lagging, bro?
Alcohol at that age. He's in the birth. He's been in plenty of bar. People were afraid of him.
And things only get worse from there. On September 29th, at a bar in Van Nuys, California, 33-year-old Sandra Gallagher is in a great mood. The red-headed single mom three hit a lottery jackpot to the tune of $1,200. Her luck only seems to get better when she meets Glenn Rogers at the bar. The two of them hit it off like a house on fire. And she agrees to give him a ride back to his hotel. Sandra never makes it home that night.
He strangled her behind a hospital, threw her into the back of her pickup truck, and set the truck on fire.
The truck had been burned with her in it. Anytime you kill somebody, it's horrific. But setting somebody on fire, that's just a whole nother level of being a monster.
An autopsy shows Sandra had been raped and strangled. All signs point to Glenn Rogers. Now he's gone. Before he blows out of town 3 weeks later, Linda Price is dead.
These females kept falling for him. Unfortunately, it was their downfall. We knew if he was wanted for a murder in Los Angeles, and he was our prime suspect in a murder in Jackson, Mississippi, you know, what else could he do?
Over in Bossier City, Louisiana, Annie Sutton has no inkling of the tragedy playing out in Jackson. All she can think about is falling back into the arms of her beloved new beau.
seeing so much happiness in a person, and it was amazing to see the twinkle in her eyes, like she really found the one.
As promised, Glenn comes back to her, and he's bearing quite a gift. A used Ford Festiva for his lady love. Besotted by his charms, Andy trusts Glenn completely, but Teresa isn't so sure.
She's like, yeah. Oh, God, Teresa, he's the one. And I was like, you just met. And she's like, I just feel it. I just know he's the one. You buying your car? What? Why is he buying your car? Andy, people don't just buy people cars.
The next day, the three of them head out together before Teresa starts her shift at work. By now, Glenn is on Teresa's last nerve.
All of a sudden, he seemed kind of drunk. He reached across Andy and he grabbed into my hair and he was pulling. And he let go and just went off to the bathroom. I told Andy, I said, he's got to go. I said, there's just something about him, he just got to go. She said, okay. And she asked me, could he sleep off his drunk? And I was like, yeah, I guess if that's what you want. I don't want him gone by the time I get home.
Around 3:30 in the morning, Teresa gets home from work.
I remember seeing his red truck there, and I'm thinking, and when I opened the door, I heard another door shut. I'm thinking, okay, anybody up?
She thought she heard some commotion. She didn't think anything about it.
I laid my head back, and of course I went to sleep.
The next morning, around 10 a.m., Teresa is awakened by someone pounding on the front door.
There was a knock at the door, profusely, over and over again. It was her boyfriend she was going to try to get back with before she had met Glenn. I was like, hold on a minute, I'm not dressed. And I'm thinking, oh crap, is there another guy in there? And this is not going to be pretty.
Teresa knocks on the bedroom door to warn Andy, but no one answers. Then she notices the blood.
First thing that came up, I was like, crap. I just ran to the door and I was scared. Yeah.
Me too. You always know the right time to call. When life plays dirty, water wipes. Water wipes. Your clean, healthy skin.
The new internet isn't 100% fiber. You realize how much you're paying for it. You could do this. Or you could do something about it, like getting the deal of a lifetime on Frontier Fiber. Okay, you're good to go. It's 100% fiber internet, powered by the speed of light. Switch now to our best deal ever. Paid just $24.99 per month. Plus get free premium Wi-Fi and free expert installation.
Isn't it weird you work so hard at acting, it's the biggest thing you've done? That's frustrating. Especially for you two.
What's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
Hold on.
If you're an alcoholic, you'll get caught. The white belt going into black belt conspiracies, and you got
I'll do anything for numbers, as you know.
I'll get it.
The surgeon approved me for skin removal surgery.
He is 8'4", the
No.
world's tallest man.
You could have
I
waited.
didn't know that I was pregnant. You're pregnant? If we were to let our guard down, William would eat himself to death. Literally. I seriously can't keep this a secret much longer.
I've been
is still in the bed.
All the covers to the low bed. Everything is just tucked into this brown roll. I pulled the covers off and I saw scratches everywhere. And I pulled the pillow off of her and I saw the most excruciating look I had ever seen on a person. Horror and pain.
In shock, Teresa calls 911. Her best friend, Bernie Sutton, has been murdered.
Reserved that she had numerous stab wounds. Ended up being 14. You could tell by her fingers and her arms that she had some defensive wounds. It was a bad deal. The first thing that goes through my mind is somebody that knew her.